It has been quite a journey, hasn't it? From the 27th of August 1991, when this state was birthed under the watchful eyes of General Ibrahim Babangida, to present, when it has traversed under numerous leadership, from the first military administrator Frank Ajobena to Ogbonoyonu, who had a year and 10 months stint at the helms, to Senator Joseph Kalu, 36 at the time, Senator Theodore Ahamefuloji, Dr. Okeze Ikpeazu, and currently Dr. Alex Oti. The state has aged, adding a year every 27th of August, each of these leaders adding a layer on the growth structure of the state, and now at 32. There is no gainsaying that at 32, a youth has become resourceful, developed, and ready to contribute his or her quota to the overall growth of the society, his or her state, even the larger community, the nation. But how instrumental has the youths maybe elders today been before now, especially in the progress wheel of the state, and how can they contribute in reshaping and steering of the 32-year-old Abia state to align with today's realities? That will be on the front burner. My name is Wisdom Thomas, and I have with me in the studio Kelechi Imo. Good morning to you. Good to have you.
Good to see you.
Oh, yeah. So, 32 years. You said something off air that the state is already old.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, let's start from this very angle. Assessing the state, taking stock at the age of 32. I mean, each time someone adds a year, it's a moment to reflect. What has the journey been like? What have I done as per progress? How do you assess the state overall in terms of progress every year, year on year, leadership on leadership, administration and administration?
For me, it's been a work in progress. Each governor, like you try to roll out, have tried in his own capacity to add one block. It's a situation whereby one man, one block, one man, one block. So for me, it's a work in progress. 32 years, wow. I didn't know that we are also 32.
Should have been married, right?
Well, if you realistically speaking, marriage is not really a guarantee in our time today. However, the person, if marriage is a benchmark, I think the person should be married. So first, we have to be grateful to God that God has been kind to keep all of us to witness the 32nd year of Abia. This is a good thing, and it's also happening at a time where I think there is a little breath of fresh air in the environment. So it's been work in progress. That's all I will say. Yeah.
So Abia 32, we are simply looking at what the contribution the youth have made before now, and maybe, just maybe, how they can be instrumental going forward. Now, I don't want you to be superlative in your description of the Abia youth. How do you describe an Abia youth? Maybe from time immemorial and to now, and the moment you've lived within the confines of the state.
First, I must say that I'm a proud Abia youth. Okay. I am very unapologetic about it. For we Abia youths, we are grateful and we are hardworking. And God also has been kind. Maybe we may not have been where we wished or prayed to be, but that doesn't mean that the youth's population are not doing extremely well. I think in the last administration, we saw young people under 30 who have done instrumentally well. The state even recognized them for their little contribution, be it in photography, be it in the work of art, be it in football, be it in acting. A lot of young people were really recognized by the previous administration, showing that a lot of Abia youths are doing well. If you go to Aba, for example, you will see a lot of young people who are in the creative sector doing amazingly well, be it in shoemaking, be it in hospitality, be it in all forms of industry you can think of. The young people are really doing well. What many young people are actually looking for is that platform to showcase their many talents, which I believe that some of them are already getting the platform which they desire. Without sounding too political, I can tell you that the current administration has, to a very large extent, absorbed a lot of young people. Take, for example, we have the current deputy chief of staff to the governor is a young man. He's in his mid-30s, if I'm correct. You also see somebody who is in the due process. He's also a young person. There are quite a number of many young people in this government.
Okay.
Trust me.
Let's go backwards again. I'm sure, at least even if you weren't there for the past 32 years, you may have equally read about those who were there, those who stamped their feet on the floor, who were part of the state from the formative stage to where it is now. Can you simply say that the youths have been
part and parcel of
government? They've made their imprint there. You look at it and you look at this part and you say, yes, this is what the youth did at this very time. In
the fashion industry, okay, you see that there are a lot of young people who have really made names in Abia. I don't know whether I'm permitted to mention names, but you will see that in the fashion industry, for example, a lot of young people have made names, especially in Aba, in this state. Even in government, a lot of young people have also been empowered through their skill by the previous governments. So I think that the young Abians are not doing bad at all. Yes, well, I will agree that some people are still struggling, some people are still looking for platforms to showcase. And thank God for social media, where you don't even need anybody to praise, you just have to blow your own trumpet. And if you are good at what you do, you'll be absorbed in government. For example, there's a young man called Toinjin, who is using his art to showcase the activities of government, for example. That's his creative. Since that young man started displaying all what he does on social media, everywhere has been calm. So this is young people doing what they can, what they are gifted, what they are skilled with, to actually showcase how bright Abia can be. I believe that Abia can be great if a lot of young people are allowed to perform, okay? But then, allowing them to perform, you as a young person, you also have to have capacity.
We'll get to the point of capacity. Okay, let's look at, in terms of fairness, looking at how they've been absorbed. Would you think that they've been giving their due place in terms of politics, the youths, from the time the ship left harbor to where it is at this very point? If I'm not wrong, the governor of Abia State, former governor, erstwhile governor, Ojus Okala, I think he was enthroned at the age of 36 or thereabouts. Yeah. So do you think that can happen again in this time? And overall, have the youths been giving their place, their due place in the scheme of things politically?
Well, you see, politics and power has to do with struggle. A lot of things come to play. Some people might be, well, looking at them qualified, okay, but do they have really the muscle to get it? In the last election, I know I was very, very active. I was very, very involved, and I saw a lot of young people come out to actually exercise their franchise like never before. A lot of young people were also in the ballot. I have a friend who was in the ballot, who ran for House of Rep, and he did incredibly well. Okay, so I think that this issue of young people given a chance, especially in politics, has to do with the person in particular. You just have to build capacity, and anybody can be governor. If you want to be governor, you work towards it. After all, the current governor he did it 3 times before he could get it. So, and also, you shouldn't forget there is a bit of luck in some of these things. So, but for me, I think that if you want to be a governor, like the case may be, you work towards it, work hard.
So you mean to say, if I heard you correctly, that it appears most persons have not really acquired the capacity, gotten themselves equipped, the skill set, and all that things which are instrumental in getting to such positions.
I'm using the word capacity. Yes, I'm using the word capacity as a collective word to actually explain what I'm saying. Capacity in the sense that politics cost a lot of money. Okay, you need to really have the source in order to remain reasonably independent. Okay, you really also have to acquire some basic leadership skills. You have to manage human beings, because human beings are quite difficult to manage.
Absolutely.
When you become, in fact, I've experienced, when you become prominent in life, that is when people want to pull you down. So you have to develop a kind of tough skin in order to handle these challenges as they come. They will definitely come, but how do you manage them? People will even say things to you that you never believe they will say to you, but you just have to muzzle it. Do you have that capacity to muzzle it, or is it somebody just throw a pebble at you and you react? So these are all capacity you have to build.
Is that you saying that's the reason we've been the youths have been
no
from the scene?
No. Let me tell you, the reason why most of the youths are a little away from the scene is basically they don't have the financial power. And that is why, if you look at what the country is talking about, everybody is talking about now, people are saying acquire skill. All this acquiring of skills for you to make some money and be a little bit independent and be a little bit responsible for yourself. Okay? Because the truth of the matter is, it is expensive. You need to have the contacts. See, there are a lot of young people who are really pushing every day. One thing I want to tell the young people is that you did something once and it did not work out. It's not a guarantee for you to back out. You need to keep trying and try again. One day, it's just like someone who is at the barber shop. One day it will get your turn. Just keep doing what you know how to do. As you are doing, you are learning, you are getting experience, you are learning, and you are acquiring knowledge. As you acquire knowledge, you can now, whenever similar challenges are faced, you can know how to handle it. So for me, I think that the young people are actually in the right track. They should make use of the internet. Now you can be at the comfort of your toilet and know what is happening around the world. Okay, people, in fact, if you open my WhatsApp status now, you see everybody talking about what is happening in Russia and Wanga group and all that. I didn't even know about it until so many people were even lecturing me on their WhatsApp status. So people are using internet for their own good. So Abia youths are doing well, okay? Maybe not in the space that we want to do, but we are doing well. The other day, the governor received the ladies that played football. They are all young people.
Definitely.
They are young people, and we are proud of them. There's so many of them who are also doing stuff. We had our own brother here who is also playing with the International League now. Okay, Chukwueze. He's a young man doing well for himself. So our young people, one thing I just understood about this whole thing is you just have to build capacity. You just have to be known for something.
Now, let me take you to somewhere now. I'm sure you've already alluded, even our listeners would agree with me that you've been on the positive side. You've said that the youths of the state have been
because I'm a young person.
very productive.
Yes.
And you've mentioned areas they've succeeded.
Yes.
And we know that the youthful age, just trying to juxtapose it with Abia being 32 is the point where the energy is quite overwhelming. That very zeal, the desire, the productivity must have to be at the very high level. But do you think overall, being as objective as you can be, that they've channeled the energy and all of these things in the proper areas in the state, from governance, from politics to other areas, education to talking about business and all of that?
Well, I would want to personalize it. Let me take Elechimo as an example.
Okay.
In the last elections, I was one of the very vocal people who talked about the PVC. Okay. We worked with INEC. We even went as far as making sure that the distribution was done. It was a voluntary something, and I was not doing it alone. There are a lot of young people who were doing it with us. We worked as a team. So, for me, I think that the young people can actually do well if you choose to, if you want to do well.
It's not about the situation around them.
It doesn't matter. Your situation cannot define you. You define your situation. That your parents are poor doesn't mean you should be poor. Okay, after all, there's this joke we normally say that that you are born poor, end at 30, you are poverty, you are the foundation at 30. Okay, so but that's not the case. I just want to tell you this, that the young people are not doing badly. Abia youths are not doing badly. Yes, I may say that before now, maybe they've not been found wanting they've not been found the need to occupy some very important positions in government. But now, this current administration, which I am aware of, have embraced a lot of young people. I served as in the transition committee at the secretariat level, and they were practically young men and women between in their 20s and 30s that were members of the secretariat. So this is us coming also close to government. And for me, the highest ranking person in the Abia state government today, that is a young person, is the deputy chief of staff. He's also the SSA on youths. So the young man is young and he has capacity.
Do we Do you really agree that the youths have seen the light? They've decided to leave the area of mediocrity. And I mean, looking at the last election, like you pointed out, you were very much involved. There were so many people who contributed their quota in the success recorded to some level, being the youths. Can we now say that they have grown in knowledge and in wisdom, and they are ready to be part of governance?
I think we are better off today than we were yesterday. It's not an absolute thing, it's a work in progress. Where we are today can never be compared to where we were yesterday. The young people are more politically aware today than they were yesterday. If you observed what happened in the last general elections, people knew even the date for elections. People knew the awards. People understood the whole hierarchy. So I think that we are more knowledgeable. Even in business, people are also seeing the need to go into skills, acquiring skill and doing stuff that can actually help them in the future. So I think that our young people are progressives, especially our young people who are making Abia what it is today. Because if you go to our commercial center, you discover that most of the big things that happen there are done by young people. You see a young man having 4 to 5 members of staff working for him, or even 10, like a tailor. Okay, so I think that the young people are not doing badly. It may not be easy, it may not be coming from the mindset that we have if we are to compare ourselves with our fellow youths around the world, especially in Europe and America. But then, at our level, at the space we are going, I think we are not doing badly.
And Africa will give us confidence now. Okay, so we are due for a break now. When we return, I will look Kelechi in the eyes and I will ask him if there are areas he thinks that the youths could do better. We will equally look at the government. What should the government do? We know it's Abia 32, and for us as youths, we want to find a common ground between the growth of Abia State and the youths, because they continue to say that the youths are the future of tomorrow.
They are the future. The youths are actually the future. However, this future can only be defined very well by how you try to make yourself today.
That's a wonderful word. Let's go on the break. Upon return, we'll delve into the rest of the issues. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with the flow of Godson State, the platform, the pinnacle of all discussion. And this morning, like I said, if you're just tuning in, it's okay. You've not missed quite a lot because there are still more things to discuss. We are looking at Abia State at 32. The 27th of August will make it 32 years, a grown man if it were to be a human being, and the progress made politically, otherwise, the contribution the youths have made before now, and what they could rightly so do to ensure the progress of the state, and maybe we could get to the point where we'll become the envy of the nation. And I've not been doing the talking alone. I have Kelechi Imo right here in the studio. Thank you for still being here and not running away like a youth. You know, the energy is quite high. Thank you for staying here.
Welcome.
All right, now I talked about the areas you feel the youths could do better. There's no game saying that you've been quite emphatic. If it was to be a law court, you've defended the youths of Abia State very well, and maybe the judge could be forced to agree with you in all the case you've made you've put forward this morning. Are there still areas or room for improvement overall, from contributing their quota to the economy of the state to ensuring that the right things are done, holding the leaders to account, even being part of governance, educationally, serving as trailblazers to others, and all of that? Are there areas you feel that there is a huge room for improvement?
First, I want to say this before I dive into your question. Our young people should understand that everybody must not be in government. You should get that clear. But you can also contribute to government. And there are areas you can actually contribute. You can use your skills to contribute without even being paid or recognized by anyone. That having said that, I think that the young people needs to understand that nobody can actually ask you how are you except you make yourself relevant. Another thing is, our young people should try to understand that we are in a digital world now. We should make use of the internet and try to equip ourselves with relevant skills that can actually come handy when we are called upon. Having said that, I think our young people so far are doing well. Even in checkmating the government, they are also doing well. Most of them are leveraging on the social media to actually doing well. Ekejuba Kingsley is one of the young youths who are doing fantastically well, holding leaders accountable through his platform, the Progressive Abia Youth. He just stepped in. Welcome, Ekejuba.
So he joined while you were talking, and from your angle, you've been quite defensive, and you've held sway in terms of the youth. So I have joining me in the studio. He would have to explain to the numerous people, Abians listening, why he came behind schedule. I have Mr. Ekejuba Kingsley Daberechi, Progressive Abia Youth President. Good to have you joining the platform this morning.
Thank you so much. It's such a delightful pleasure to be here. I've been listening to you guys while on my way. I had an unfortunate incident along Omahe Kotek Bene that caused some traffic gridlock there. So that was what delayed me. So I just have to apologize to our listeners and everybody for being behind time. It's not characteristic of
it's okay.
an Abia youth to come behind schedule.
Good. See, you got me now. I wanted to say I'm happy you weren't part of the discussion so that I could get a different angle from you. But you said you've been following. I asked him, we've looked at the progress made from the angle of the youth, how they've contributed their quota all round, holistically, to the forging of the state at 32. And I'm keen to find out from you if you agree with him in terms of the progress made. Do you think that Abia youths have been quite involved in governance all round and every other thing which has happened from year 1 to year 32?
Well, I think that Abia youths have been, doing excellently well. I'm not trying to align my thoughts with what he's saying, but, you can't hide away from the truth. The truth remains that Abia youths are resourceful, Abia youths are very passionate, and Abia youths are very competent. So if you look at different areas of life using specific metrics, maybe around look at education, you're looking at economics, looking at commerce, whatever you want to look at, you find Abia is doing fantastically well across different sectors. So I think so far so good. If you look at all the states in the federation and you want to measure youth performance and youth activity, you're going to rank Abia highly when you consider the efforts that Abia youths are putting in to make themselves relevant in different sectors across the globe.
Despite the level of progress both of you have postulated, especially on the program, are there areas you think they've not explored this very angle, they've not really stood tall in this very aspect, and a huge room you see for improvement?
Yeah, I will go back to politics is what I would say. There's a huge gap in political participation of Abia youth. You look at the current setup, even in the current government, if you are to analyze or assess the appointees or the entire setup of the government, you find that the youth don't make up to 20% of that setup. So I think the young people needs to do more in politics.
Is it about them or the system now not being quite fair to them?
I think it's about them. For me, I do not look at reasons not to do it. I look at reasons why it should be done. So power is never given in any part of the world. Power is taken. So for young people in Abia who have done tremendously well, we decided the political fate of this state by virtue of our participation in the course of the 2023 election. So in that light, I think that we have to do more of that. But this time, having young people, when I say young people, I mean young people in the real sense. If you go by the African Charter definition of a youth falls between the ages of 18 and 35. So people between that age bracket should hold executive positions in the state, should hold legislative positions in the state, so that when they go in and they find themselves on the same table with women and men, they will be able to defend the interest of the young people. So that's the area I feel that Abia youths have to do more to participate and ensure that the youth agenda, which is promoting youth development across board, becomes a primary objective as far as leadership and governance is concerned in this state.
Not trying to blow it out of proportion, Kelechi, he has mentioned something and he's saying it's about the youths themselves agreeing, doing their own part, saying I have to be part of this, I need to be involved. But don't you think there is an element wherein the parties and those who are the stakeholders, the stalwarts of these, the parties now, because it's the only vehicle that can lead to becoming a particular person or the other, don't you think they too need to show that very, that feeling of inclusion to the youth, saying, okay, the arms of embrace?
Are you at me?
Yeah.
For me, I think the issue of youth, what arms of embrace, as you call it, has to do with the young person himself or herself. If you show capacity, I've never seen anybody who has capacity that was thrown at the back. If you show capacity, of course you'll be given the front chair. You have to show capacity. People don't do this out of sentiment. You just have to have something to offer, and you'll be given a seat at the table. I had a friend who ran for elections. He was 31. As at the time he was running for elections, House of Rep for that matter. He showed capacity, and that was why he was given a seat at the table, even though he's still struggling to actually get a seat at the chamber. But then, if you're mentioning one of the young people who have really done well politically at his level, I think he is one of them. So, for me, it has to do with the young person showing first interest, showing capacity, showing that he has that can-do spirit, which all of us claim as Abians that we have. If you prove that you can actually do this, of course, to whom much is given, much is expected. If you do well in one, the reward for hard work is more work. You'll be given greater opportunities. So the issue is that our young people need to decide what do they really want for themselves. It's not about shouting on social media, complaining. What are you actually doing to change the situation of things in your state? Like I told you, you don't need to wait for government to do something to get you involved for you to start. You can actually advise the government in terms of writing. I told you what Kingsley Kejuba is doing, okay, which is amazing. He's doing amazing well. Okay, so there are a lot of things our young people can actually do. You can use your skill. Again, I say, I've noticed that this particular style is coming from so and so place. It could be a brand, and when maybe anytime it's just your time, you'll be called upon. You actually show what you have. You just have to have something to show for you to be given a seat at the table.
I mean, I can't agree less. Both of you reminded me, I've had a chat with the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin, right?
Hello.
Honorable. Yeah. And he said, in his early days of becoming a politician, he said he indicated interest, and he was told, it's not yet time. He waited. He tried again. He was told, it's not yet time. You are still young. And when he did again, I think back in 2019, he got that diadem. And I think that should serve as an inspiration to the youths out there.
Exactly.
That, like you mentioned, have the capacity, and it will happen in time.
Of course.
Okay, now let's look at how we can contribute. I'm a youth, and some persons will be saying, why is he adding that part? I'm a youth, I'm still young, and every other person here in the studio is. Likewise, the people outside listening to us. How can the government help us? The current government under Dr. Alex Otti, how can he be instrumental? His government, his policies, everything that he does in terms of ensuring that the true dividends of democracy can be felt by the ordinary people, and importantly, the youths of the state. Let me start with you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not one that is known for leaving any stone unturned, especially when it has to do with talking to those in power. So what I think that the administration of Dr. Alex Otti has to do is to be transparent in dealing with the young people, and ensure that whatever promise they make to the young people, they fulfill it. One very instrument, if I should call it an instrument, that has, divided the young people and made the young people to lose faith in the leadership of the state, is that lack of trust. So I did hear at some point, Casey, you may want to put your voice to this, when the governor talked about, I think, a 7 billion naira intervention fund for youth development. Right. So since then, we've not heard anything. So I think that when government comes forward, especially this administration, to make pronouncement that has to do with young people, they should understand that the young people now are wiser, the young people are smart, they have access to data and statistics, and they're able to follow through all of this. So whatever promise that the governor or the government made to the young people must be fulfilled. That's the way to ensure that the young people are included. And then some of the bright minds that represent youth communities across the 17 LGAs should also be engaged, involved in a heart-to-heart conversation to think through some ideas that can be implemented for the youth, because you can't say you want to do something for a community without getting that community involved. It makes more sense when you get the community involved, because with that involvement, the community is able to tell you, look, when you come to our community, these are areas you don't go to, these are areas you go to, these are things you don't do, these are things you do. That way, you're able to form an inclusive concept that allows you to achieve the goal at the end of the day. So I'll say transparency, I'll say youth inclusion, and ultimately sincerity of purpose in carrying out government programs.
Just to add what
I would let you roll.
Okay.
I needed to remind us as well that the past administration had quite a lofty ambition for Abia, and we must have to tell ourselves the truth that that place is a compendium of youth. They are the ones that make up the core of the people there who are contributing to the economical status of the state. And whereas we don't know if actually that very dream was a reality, and we cannot really say that at the moment. Now, how can he actually there maybe enable the youths, that enabling environment for them to participate more in generating internally generated revenue, and of course bettering their lives, and Kelechi, joining it with security. We know that the state in recent memory have been bedeviled by a lot of insecurity, and you can look at that. The youths are involved a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
They are very, very involved. Let me look at it from various angles. First, I think the government is also showing interest, first by trying to reconstruct the roads in Abia, doing a lot of infrastructural development in Abia. That's also a way of making the environment enabling for both the young and the old to actually thrive and make some good money for themselves. There was something I wanted to say about the youth in the community. One of the experiences we've had over time is that this sense of is it entitlement now, or a situation whereby you have to pay through your nose to actually bring development for the young people who you may not even be directly involved in. Take, for example, you come to, let's say, Ibeku, for example, and anywhere around Ibeku, maybe you want to fix a transformer. Before you can fix that transformer, as an individual or even as a government, the young people there can frustrate you because they can tell you have to pay for margin ground, you have to pay for development fee and all that. Now, when the person who is trying to do this favor for you comes and you give him all these demands, that thing can quite be very discouraging. So it comes down to our community leaders, especially the youth in the community, should be sensitive to issues like this. When acts of goodwill are extended to your community, you have to welcome it with open arms and monitor the development and the process, because that is the only way you can actually get involved. Just like the issue of insecurity. If our young people, which I believe there are a lot of security apparatus, there are a lot of vigilantes in the villages, and they are mostly young people, they know these guys. If they cooperate with government and they do what they have to do, and this is also a way of getting them involved, they will get involved because they are the grassroots. They have more information than anybody else. So if this is the information they provide, that the government will actually work on. So I think that the young people should be responsible whenever these things come up, because it is a factor. There are so many people who come and complain to you that, especially the issue of transformer, or you want to build schools, or you want to renovate schools. Before you do some of these things, you see them coming up with unnecessary demands.
And that's their own way of getting one or two.
Yes, and when you know that your intention is to distribute this well so that everybody will be involved, but when all these impediments are coming up, you may be discouraged and you may just back out. So I think that our young people, especially at the community level, should allow our big people to brief, as they say. So that is one. Then you talked about Abba, and like I said, the government of the day is actually doing well in the area of infrastructure. That is one way to get everybody involved. Ekejuba talked about grants, okay, which I think I also heard about that. I don't want to speak, I don't speak for government. I'm sure they have a reason why. But one thing I believe that this government has is that goodwill. People trust them to do what they say, because they actually came into power as a result of the goodwill of the people. And I think also that they are responsible enough to actually do what they had promised. Having said that, I think the young people also need to make their demands known publicly. What do you really want? Okay, if you ask me, Kelechi, what do I want? I said, please give me a scholarship. I'll be very happy. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's get you involved in the conversation. Quite fascinating, hasn't it, this while? 0808182649 or 0811605249. You can send a message to 090-651-08289. When you're calling, tell us your name, where you are calling us from, and go ahead to share your thoughts with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Easy.
It is good to have you join the conversation. Name and location.
Who say I'm calling from Umaya.
You're welcome.
Good morning to gentlemen in the house.
Good morning. Who say man no day, my guy?
Mr. Casey, I just want to applaud what you said. You never sounded like the politicians we used to know, even the ones in your government. Thank you for being bold enough to be able to identify that most of our youth are not the way we are carpeted when the campaign we are going on, or campaigns we are going on before this general election. So I still believe that no government will give all the youth in this Abia or in this Nigeria job. Our youth are not lazy in action or in nature. Our youth are not lazy in nature. Our youth, Abia's youth and some youth I know very well, they are never lazy in nature. But most times, due to politics, or due to, I keep referencing to our constitution 1999 has been amended, that made politics money, something that they were getting money when you are looking at the person that is representing you, driving 1, 2, 3 SUVs, building a mansion that his forefather will never believe that he can get just because he's a politician. That is the angle that most youths are getting angry, that they are expecting government to do everything for them. But apart from it, if peradventure the government to revisit this 1999 has been amended and remove monetary aspect of politics, you see that things will be very, very easier and even better for our youth. Okay. Our youth are very, very okay. You talked about people. Go to Abana, you see people packing, they are just making money. Anything, any virtual thing that will give them money, Lego things. They are doing it just to make sure that they pay their entry living. But unfortunately, most of our youth are just relying on government. So I still pray that government of Alex Oti should do the needful. Should do the needful for the youth. Because he can say, he use the youth to work.
Thank you very much, Hussein Manode. Thank you for your contribution. 0808182649 or 0811605249. When you're calling, tell us your name, where you are calling from. Definitely go ahead to air your view, and of course just use a minute or so others can equally be part of the conversation. Looking at the SMS line now, whereas we keep an eye on the phone line. It says, good morning, Wisdom. Kelechi Mo, my namesake. I remain Kelechi Oba from Ikwana. For me, a big congrats to Abia State for clocking 32 come 27th of this month, and I firmly believe that Governor Alex Oti will repay the enormous hope reposed in him by Abians by leaving a remodeled Abia, as to whom much is given, much is expected. And lastly, the present government should carry Abia youths along politically. Let's take this call. Morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Thank you. Mr. Kichkudeli from Lodge, Abombi.
Go ahead.
I'm happy. I align myself with the young man here who said that the government should be transparent. And that's that idea. Let the government be transparent enough so that the people will follow up. The youth in Abia State are not lazy. I know that. As you talk of Abba, and those people at Abba there are 95% of them are youth, and they are doing not really well. Let the government empower them more so that they can contribute enough for the. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Looking at the Facebook live feed, Obong Odo says he's watching us from Sango-Ota area in Ogun State. Ezeka Elvis has a comment here and he says, happy weekend from here, Wisdom Thomas, Kelechi Mo, and the other gentleman. Oh, okay. Let's get another person involved. Morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
All
right. You're welcome.
I believe the youth and the government in the Kanye Memorial, the body language, have not been exclusively involved in government. Yes, the strong youth participation in government is local government. Local government in Nigeria, until we restructure it, integrate it into the mainstream of democratic system. Anything I'm talking of, that's our GDP, that's why we are looking at the poverty index. We are not part of the policy. We are all self-reliant. Government are doing their own, youth are doing their own, government are going to Obaka, youth are going to Onimo. That is the system we have found ourselves. Until other countries have done it, like what was obtained with history, and then find the strength of that youth. That's why youth are growth, green economic, plantations, industrial products, agro-aligned products, and the youth were mining it, and there was results. What you have criminal politicians who want to root state and federal funds.
All right,
so
thank you.
All this cosmetic program and
thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you very much. Ezeka Elvis on Facebook says, I'm watching live from Umuahia, Abia State. And you are saying Abia State at 32 is quite commendable, but I'm still wondering and imagining what the future holds for Abia youths because we've been neglected. And some other adjectives he used, and subjugated for too long. Just being, he says, just hoping and praying the new administration of Dr. Alex Oti will impact positively on Abia youths because we are the future of tomorrow. Thank you for your comment. From Ozodimo Obi, he says, good morning, 4FM. I'm watching from Amaba in Isukueto. He says, Abia State at 32, there's not much development to celebrate. From Omai, Petersburg, he says, watching from Lome, Togo, keep the work going, gentlemen. We have to reach a consensus now before we leave the studio. Time is ebbing away. I come to you first, Mr. Ekejoba. What areas? Be very specific. We know that the world is spinning towards technology, and I mean, something done in that very area would help in moving the youths of Abia State from where they are to where they can be quite convenient and capable of contributing their quota. Which area do you think?
Thank you. Well, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag.
Okay.
On Sunday, being the 27th day of August, we'll be celebrating the 32nd anniversary of Abia State with a program tagged Abia Day towards the progressive Abia with progressive Abia youths. On that day, we're going to put out a get-to-work document, which is a policy document that we hope to administer to this current administration. And it contains our thoughts or ideas as regards to government and leadership across 9 thematic areas, which includes agriculture, which includes security, technology, education, and in total it's about 9. So that document is actually comprehensive, and we're hoping that at the end of the day we give this to the leadership of the state and say, look, this is what the young people think, and it is left for them to implement. So overall, I think the time for Abia youth to be a major player in the political scene in Abia is now. Okay. I think that at 32, there's no reason why in the discussion of policies and government direction, the youth across the 17 LGAs will not be included. I think that time should be gone.
Kelechi, I'm coming to you. He has spoken to the government. Now for you to talk to the youths themselves. 30 seconds, really.
I think our young people should acquire themselves with skills that will make them relevant. Okay, you can go into data science, you can go into data analysis, because this is one of the things I think will make you more relevant even in the next 50 years, because that's what our world needs, especially here in Africa, in Nigeria. We are not good at data. We need to know data so that it will help us do a lot of calculations and statistics. So our young people should equip themselves and trust God and trust the process.
Trust God, trust the process. Thank you, Kelechi Imo, for coming on the program this morning.
Balu.
It's been an amazing journey. Thank you, Mr. Ikejoba Kinsley Dabrechi, President of Progressive Abia Youth.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to you who listened and followed up from the get-go to the point where we are. But this is where we will drop the anchor on the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions. And we wish Abia State the very best as it turns 32 by the 27th of August 2023. But do have a lovely Friday.